What can be learned from Beyonce? What can be learned from NPCs screaming at a concert and crying? Thousands of them, tens of thousands of them, as God bowls here up behind me and shows us what he thinks. What can be learned? What can be truly learned from people screaming at a concert and crying? The viral video that's going around from the Beyonce concert, and it's funny. It's kind of the epitome. There's been a lot of hilarious memes and things, people talking about just kind of the decline of our culture, the cultural rot, and people have been crying about music for a long time, quite honestly, because music is energy. It's different wavelengths, and energy is what we are. We are energy, and Bob Proctor talked about this all the time. We are energy, and music does that to us because it's energy itself, right? So the different wavelengths, and oh wow, it's starting to rain, so I'm gonna have to move in. And the different wavelengths that are changing you, right? Which makes sense. It makes sense that that's what's going to happen, obviously, as music is going to do that to you. So what can be done? What can truly be done to learn from what is taking place at a Beyonce concert, right? It's understanding storytelling, understanding that if you have something you want to get across, if you have something, and I'm not that good at this, quite honestly. A lot of times I come in here and I just kind of blatantly rant and say what's on my mind, and I don't storytell as much. And I've had many of you asking for me to storytell more, which is what I'm going to try and start doing. One quick story is that when I was in college and I played at Michigan State, our coach, Rick Conley, one of the things I'll just remember of him was just saying that, this is my narrative bias, that life is a battle. Life is all about battling. And he said, if you're going to play hockey, if you're going to be good at hockey, you got to love to battle. And honestly, don't even know if you guys can hear me. So I'm going to have to go in. It's thundering now and raining. So this is hilarious. I think this is the first time in 10 years this has ever happened to me, of creating content. So what is it? How can we better light this way. So how can we love to battle and be a someone who really gets the battling nature of life, because that's all life is. So understanding that, and he imparted that on us, and that was something I won't forget. There's always one or two sayings from each coach that you kind of pick up, and that was one of those from him, from my college hockey coach at Michigan State. So you have to love to battle. And that goes for everything. Battling, like, what am I going to eat today? Making the right choice over and over again. Am I going to eat too much, or am I going to eat too little? What am I going to put in my mouth? What am I not going to put in my mouth? This makes me think of when I was at USA and I'm playing for the US under 17 team. And my coach, David Quinn, who coaches the San Jose Sharks now, said, every time you eat, you have a chance to get better. So, personal development is a huge part of my life. My mental side, I didn't do as much as I should have when I was younger. And I did it a lot over the last 15 years, 12 years since I retired. And unfortunately, that's not the greatest way to do it, because as we know, sports and life is 90% mental and probably 99% mental and 1% or 10% physical, as the saying goes. So this is something that I didn't take seriously enough. I kind of knew that intellectually, but I didn't take it serious enough. So what can we learn? What can we learn from Beyonce and people crying, the storytelling aspect, right? Pouring our heart out, being vulnerable, and living that out. And like, love or hate Beyonce, whatever, doesn't matter. I don't care. It has nothing to do with Beyonce. I have my own thoughts on Beyonce and whatever. So this is not about that, but it's what can we learn from people screaming and crying this viral video. People literally have never met her in their life, maybe seeing her for the first time, but are captivated, literally screaming and crying, men screaming and crying. That in of itself is a little interesting. Again, a story for a different day. But what can we learn? If we're trying to tell family and friends something, it's said in the Bible that, it's paraphrasing, it's tough to be a Messiah in your own town, right? Your friends and family tend not to really believe you, take you as seriously. You're like, I grew up with that guy. I know that guy. He's not that smart. I get that's, something that we all have to deal with. So how can we get our stories across? Well, storytelling. What did Jesus do all the time? He was storytelling. He was telling parables, telling analogies to the people so they could understand, so humans could understand what was happening. So that's the one big thing I got from that. I just sat back and, like, my first ditch, kind of like laughing, just like, what are these people doing? Like, how are you that worried and that into a musician? Someone, what are they doing for society? And again, as an entertainer, as an athlete or a musician, you're helping people with their day. I get it. I got it. I lived in that world, and you're helping people with their life. But, what is that musician doing though? They're helping someone escape. They're telling a story. They're helping someone escape and relate to their own life. And wow, this person's dealing with that too. And that's what these people are feeling. And that's what they're into, in seeing that and then feeling that. And it literally, their body's breaking down into tears. So how can we get that? How can, I, as someone who is so passionate on not putting Band-Aids on bullet holes, in my belief, the number one thing in the world is getting back to the 10 Commandments, getting back to God. Because if we did just those 10 things, you wouldn't have all this other chaos going on. However, okay, that's not the case, and not everyone believes in God. What's something that ever touches everyone in the world? Well, it's money. So the very next thing is money. God goes and the money goes and the society collapses and this domino effect. So what can we do? Well, if we fix the money, we fix the world. That's why I want to fix the thing at the top. I don't really care about the second, third, 10th, 100 order effects. I could care less. That'll take care of itself. We don't need to put that work in and kill ourselves trying to do all these other things. If we just fix the money, if we take back the issuance away from the grifters and the governments and all these people that have stolen that from the people, that is nothing. They shouldn't have any ability to issue money. That was never theirs to begin with. We are the ones that create value. We are the value creators. The private individual and the families and the people working, they're the ones that provide and create value. Therefore, we need a money that's created to contain that finite time and energy we're trading. Well, that's ours. That's ours. That's not government's to give us. Government has no role in that other than upholding laws. That's it. That's it, and working at the consent of the government. So we've completely given that away. So if we can fix that, just fix the money and make a neutral money that captures deflation and gives it back to people, instead of having a broken currency that is inflationary and then siphons off the wealth of the people through inflation and gives it back to the top 1%. If we can reverse that and have it completely opposite, well, then you fix all these other problems. You're fixing the grift and the graft and the currency being sent over and your taxes being sent over all over for fraud, gender reassignment surgeries and funding Raytheon and foreign wars. You have all this start to melt away because now the governments are restricted and they cannot do any of this unless they go ask the people. And if the people tell them, hey, you can do it, take my time and energy, take my money, then that's one thing. That's their problem. But now we have a system where there's no representation with the taxation. There's no one being asked if any of these things are going to take place. We have Trump, getting indicted, and we're going after political opponents. The same thing Trump got impeached for. He was doing the same thing to Biden. I mean, it's just like it's such a cluster because this whole thing is broken because of the money, right? This is allowed to happen because of the money. Biden's allowed to pay himself off and all of his family members because of the money, because of the broken money, and no one can trace it. No one knows what's going on. No one has any idea. So, what can we learn? Storytell. How can we persuade people? Storytell. How can we talk about the most important things so that way the other things, I wish I could sit here all day and just like listen to music and like be jaded by the music and ooh yeah, like I wish I could. I'm on a mission though. I'm on a mission to change the world. I'm on a mission to help every individual on this planet regain their sovereignty, regain their wealth and their freedom, period. And I know if I can do that and make a dent doing that, then all these other things, these beautiful things of life are going to manifest more in our lives. So I appreciate you coming to my TED Talk. I would love to know your thoughts on this. Question everything with boldness, even the existence of God himself. It's not financial advice, it's freedom advice. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.